in legal terms, which is clearly not lawful terms. If you are one of a kind, with knowledge, that can see the words, law and legal are different words. I do hope that you can see how it is so easy to see that words and all the words and titles, like person, individual, citizen, party, etc., are used in the legal system to deceive the people, who are too lazy to even look at the various word meanings. Therefore they can only assume this and that, yet none of which are facts. Yet people consent to the facts, that the government who we the people created are out to deceive and their creators by way of fraud. To trick you out of your sweat equity to get cash earned from your energy, as you're not aware it's only a promise to pay due as a promissory note, a promise. Due to ignorance also, because at school you were given a secondary education, via GCSE, which is an acronym for General Certificate Secondary Education, the government don't want people to see how they parasite off the people by consent. Now you realize you have a secondary education. Try to remember that law and legal are separate words. Law is natural from the universe, even a dog knows when it has done wrong, being correct is law. Legal is not correct, it's there to deceive the man, woman, the people and only value of this planet, as we are the energy that makes things happen by consent. Anyways, a legal name refers to the name a person is officially recognized by, typically recorded on official documents like birth certificates, or is changed through legal processes like a court order. It's the name used for official identification and legal purposes, and can be different from a person's preferred or nickname. A legal name is the name that identifies a person for legal, administrative and other official purposes. A person's legal birth name generally is the name of the person that was given for the purpose of registration of the birth and which then appears on a birth certificate. Here's a more detailed breakdown. Official recognition. A legal name is the name that a person is officially recognized by in legal contexts, usually the name on a birth certificate or is changed by a court. Formal documents. It's the name used on official documents like passports, driver's licenses, and other legal documents. Legal processes. While it's often the name given at birth, it can also be a name changed through a legal process like a court order. Business entities. The term also applies to the name of a business or organization, as chosen and registered with the relevant authorities. In UK legislation, person generally includes both natural persons, individuals, and legal persons, entities like companies, trusts, or unincorporated bodies. The Interpretation Act 1978 defines person broadly to encompass any individual or group of individuals treated as a single entity by law. Elaboration. Natural persons. These are individuals, human beings, who have legal rights and responsibilities. Legal persons. These are entities recognized by law as having their own legal personality, separate from their members or owners. Examples include O corporations, companies incorporated under the Companies Act 2006. O trusts, legal arrangements where assets are held for the benefit of others. O unincorporated bodies, organizations like partnerships or unincorporated associations, which are not separate legal entities, but may be treated as a single person for certain legal purposes. Interpretation Act 1978. This act provides general rules for interpreting legislation, including defining key terms like person, United Kingdom person, in specific legislation. Some acts, like the Counter-Terrorism Act 2008, define United Kingdom person specifically as a UK national or a body incorporated or constituted under UK law. In essence, when a law uses the term person, it generally means any individual or legal entity capable of being subject to the rights and obligations outlined in that law. In UK legislation, a contract is a legally binding agreement between two or more parties. So what is the meaning of the word party, using the etymology online, which states party, n. To divide, separate. Such as your legal entity that was created after the day you were born, by the birth certificate, registered by way of force with the government on a separate date that creates the legal person, corporation typically involving an exchange of something of value consideration. It's an agreement that creates enforceable obligations, meaning if one party fails to fulfill their part of the contract, the other party can take legal action. Key elements of a contract. Offer. A clear and specific proposal made by one party to another. Acceptance. The other party must accept the offer in its entirety and without conditions. Consideration. Something of value exchanged by both parties, such as money, goods, or services. Intention. To create legal relations, both parties must intend for the agreement to be legally binding. Capacity. Both parties must have the legal capacity to enter into a contract, e.g., not be a minor child, lack of knowledge or wisdom, or mentally incapable of being aware you're naturally a man or woman living in a world of fiction. Types of contracts. Employment contract. An agreement between an employer and an employee, outlining the terms of employment. Contract of sale. An agreement where one party, the seller, agrees to transfer ownership of goods to another party, the buyer, in exchange for a price. Contract to provide services. An agreement where one party agrees to perform a service for another, such as a construction contract or a consulting agreement. Service level agreement, SLA. A contract outlining the level of service a provider will deliver to a customer, using postal rule, so you have proof of delivery, as if not then brings in, on the balance of probability, then as if no proof of evidence to prove proof of delivery, it can't be proven delivered. Commercial contracts. Agreements between businesses, such as supplier agreements or distribution agreements. In the UK, a person's legal name is generally the name they are known by. There is no legal requirement to register a name change or have a specific format for a legal name, as long as it's not used for fraudulent purposes. A person can change their name by simply using a new name and becoming known by it. Elaboration. No formal requirement. There's no need to register a name change with any official body, and the law doesn't dictate specific name formats. Name in use. A person's legal name is determined by the name they use and are known by in the daily life. Freedom to change. Individuals can generally change their name at will, as long as it's not for fraudulent or deceptive purposes. Deed poll. While not legally required, a deed poll is a common way to formally document a name change and provide evidence of its use. Exceptions. Names that contain obscenities, numbers, misleading titles, or are difficult to pronounce may be rejected by the registering officer when registering a child's name. In the UK, fraud by failing to disclose information is an offence under Section 3 of the Fraud Act 2006. It occurs when a person has a legal duty to disclose information to another and dishonestly fails to do so, intending to make a gain for themselves or another, or to cause a loss to another. This can include failing to disclose information in contracts, insurance applications, or other situations where a legal duty to disclose exists. Key elements of the offence. Legal duty to disclose. There must be a legal obligation to share the information. Dishonest failure to disclose. The failure to disclose must be deliberate and dishonest. Intention to gain or cause loss. The intent must be to make a gain for oneself or another, or to cause a loss to another. Examples of situations where this offence might be applicable. Insurance fraud. Failing to disclose relevant information about a pre-existing condition when obtaining insurance cover. Contractual obligations. Failing to disclose information relevant to a contract, such as a hidden defect in a property. Fiduciary relationships. Failing to disclose relevant information when acting in a position of trust or authority. Penalties. The maximum penalty for fraud under the Fraud Act 2006 is 10 years in prison. For a more detailed explanation of the legal requirements, see the Fraud Act 2006 and the explanatory notes for the Fraud Act 2006.